right, ladies and gentlemen. All right, let me double check to see what's here. Okay, so where are we at? What's going on here? Ah, I know what it is. We got to make sure. There we go. Let's make sure everything's going fine. Okay, all our levels are good. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, what did we do yesterday? Do you guys remember? I remember we were working on what? The 6 trig ratios. And so now what we want to take a look at is how do we even apply them? Because you might say, well, how do I even apply these trig ratios? And let's dive into that. What do you guys think? Let's do some, this is really still geometry in all honesty. So it's really still kind of supplementary material idea. So if I said to you guys, there's an angle here for my triangle. What kind of triangle is this? That's a 90-degree angle, so you have a what? A right what? Triangle. So ladies and gentlemen, now that means what? What do you guys use here? Okay? We're going to need to know something about our trig ratios, right? So, okay, so the angle here is 35 degrees. If I ask you guys this question here, this 100, what do you call that in relation to the angle? What's that known as? That's known as your what? The opposite side. Is that true? So far, so good? Okay, and then what is this known as down here, ladies and gentlemen? Right, this here is known as, this distance here is, what's the name of that? That's the adjacent side, okay? So what I want to say to you guys is this. We're now trying to see, can we use those ratios in a very meaningful way? So we're stepping toward, applying that. Now, what you got to do is you got to remember which trig ratio has the phrase or the angles, let me rephrase that. Which trig ratios have the words opposite and adjacent? Tangent and cotangent. Good. My recommendation personally, I don't know, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this is going to be tangent of what? 35 degrees is opposite, remember that language? Opposite over what? Adjacent. You know what that means? 100 over x. So we have tangent of what? 35 degrees becomes 100 over x. Now, this, ladies and gentlemen, we're not done. We're not done. This is just the first step in the process. And I would like to ask you guys a question here. What are you looking at anyway now? What is this? Because this is something here. We're going to have to do what? They want to know what is the value of x, right? So x is located where? In this denominator here. So if I ask you guys here, how are we going to get the value of x? How do we find that value of x? You know what we got to do? We got to go back to some what? Algebra. All right. Now, so remember I said to you, is there any good way to do the s? When can we do the s? Is it good to do it in the beginning, in the middle, at the end? Because technically in the course, they have that supplement at the end. And so what they want us to do here with the supplement is a couple of things here. They want us to review some of this algebra. Now this is review. Do I have more tools for algebra? Of course, you guys know I have that. But, you can watch it or even go to the tutoring lab to do some more. And I'll show you guys that too. Where's the tutoring lab, by the way? In the corner over there. Is that right? So walk-in tutoring. So you might say, boy, Mr. Judge, I have videos for algebra. You do. Oh, I have some practice here in class. You do. But what if you say that's not enough? Well, you could go to our walk-in tutoring lab at any time. You certainly can see me in office hours, but you might say, but your office hours are at a time where I'm not here. So what am I going to do? Well, you got the walk-in tutoring lab. Okay, you guys understand? That's how that works anyway. So what I'm going to start to do is I'm going to go back a little bit of some algebra because, I can't wait to solve this. I want to find out what x is. You guys know what I'm saying? This is trigonometry. This is, well, it's really geometry. But, this is designed to help us understand the world around us, these tools. And so this is an important thing. So what I want to remind you guys is this. When you have what we call a proportion, A over B equals C over D. This is known as a what? Proportion. You guys okay with that? What do you guys do with proportions? What do you think you do? Right? We have a very special property with proportions. I'm going to draw this here. What does that look like to you? What's that called? Good. You can do what's called cross multiplication. And they really should call that diagonal across, right? And so here's what that means. You have what? A times D will equal B times C. All right, you guys okay with that? So I want you guys to notice a very important detail. This is A. A stays there. What is diagonal to A, by the way? D. So D's up here, okay? And then you say, okay, what about my C? Well, C is still on top, but what's diagonal to C is B. So I want you guys to see that important property with any proportion. This is what you guys do. You use what's called cross multiplication. And that's a very, very important tool that we use here. Okay, now you might say, what? I don't see two fractions because, by the way, a proportion is equal ratios, equal fractions. That's really the definition of your proportion. So you might say, I don't see that here. Well, okay. Put a 1 here. Now you see it. Equal what? Fractions, equal ratios. Now, by cross multiplication here, what do you think this gives us? Do you guys want to tell me? What does that give us here? That gives us what? X times tangent of 35 degrees. Is that true? Will equal 1 times what? 100. Does everybody agree with the cross multiplication with that equal ratio? Do you guys agree with that? All right. Anybody have any questions on that so far? Okay. Yes?
What if it's BC equals 80? Can that also work?
Yeah. It doesn't matter if you change the letters. What matters is the positions. Okay. You guys okay with that? So, alrighty. Now, I would say to you, I already know what 1 times 100 is, right? What is 1 times 100? Isn't that 100? Alrighty. Okay. Now, I want to point out another small detail to you guys here, just so you guys know. That what you see here now, tangent 35 degrees, do you guys know what that is? That's a number, isn't it? You guys know what I'm saying? That's a number. We're going to find out what it is. We're going to use our calculator. But that is a number. And so if you're solving for x, and how do you undo multiplication to x with a number? Do you guys know? How do you do that? You divide both sides by the number. Outstanding. Good. This is tangent of what? 35. And what's this? Tangent of 35. So you're going to cancel. And ladies and gentlemen, you get x equals 100 divided by tangent of 35 degrees. All righty. There you go. Now, this is what I call the symbolic answer. This is the exact answer. However, I'm going to put here, we're going to approximate our answers to the nearest what? Thousands. I don't know. Let's say approximate to the tenths. How's that? So when you approximate to the tenths, ladies and gentlemen, this is where you guys get out your what? Your calculator. Okay, now I got to say something though. I got to say this. This is a technical detail here. Okay, as you guys can see, the angle here is in what form? What kind of angle is that? That's in degrees. Is that true? So it's 35 degrees. So what do you think your calculator has to be set to? Degrees. You go, my calculator has to be set to degrees? Yes. So we get out the TI now. I know in this one, I go to mode, and I want to double check now. Hey, there we go. Can't see it. Hey, let's go scroll in. Okay, how do you know? Is it set to degrees? Yeah, it looks like. You know why? I scroll down here. You see that? It's to the right. So it's set to degrees there. Now, maybe I want to double check. I'm just going to hit enter. But ladies and gentlemen, this is in degrees now. So all I have to do, since it's in degrees, in my calculator, I have to put what again? 100 divided by, do I have a tangent key? Tangent of what? 35 degrees, okay? Tangent, 100 divided by tangent 35. What do you guys get? What's this answer to the nearest what? Tenths. Do you guys know? What's x going to be? 100 and what? What's our x value? X is approximately 142 point what? 8. We already went through approximation. Is that right? So there you guys go. This is the value of x. 142.8 degrees. There it is. Easy peasy lemon what? Lemon squeezy. What do you guys think? Is that pretty simple? Okay, so you just have to remember later we're going to do a little bit of some S. You say, what are we going to do? We're going to solve some proportions because as you guys can see, solving a proportion is pretty what? An important skill set. Okay, anybody have any questions on that? Okay, so if I give you guys another triangle, and remember, I'm going to draw my triangles a little differently. Don't be nervous about that because you can see triangles, you know, you'll see my point. Right, here's another right triangle. And now they might say, okay, this measures 6, this is 6, 42 degrees. Now you have x here. And they want us to approximate x to the nearest tenths. So how do you start and approach this? Do you guys know? You say what? You see this? What is that? The angle? Good. What do you really have to identify first? Well, what did they give you? They gave us an adjacent side. What's the definition? Right next to. The leg right next to the angle. And then they also gave you what? Hypotenuse. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. What do you have to remember? What is vital? What trig ratio has adjacent and hypotenuse? What is it? Well, we'll start with the first three. How's that? Let's keep it simple. Good for you. I think we have what? Cosine of what? 42 degrees will be, what's the definition? What's cosine? You guys know, did I drink my coffee? I don't even know if I'm awake yet. Am I still in bed? Am I asleep? I might still be asleep. Where's my coffee? So that's 6 over what? X. Okay, I do have a little. Yes.
Why cosine instead of the other ones, like sine or tangent?
Ah, because you got to know your what? What are the definitions? See this? Say note to self. Know these what? Know these definitions. Where is it? Where is it? There we go. We're using the what? The definitions, okay? And you say, well, that's why. Because we can't use the others. They don't help us. And that's the short answer. Now, what do you guys want to recognize? Is this here a what? Isn't that a proportion? Yeah, what do? Cross multiply, and what do you get? X times cosine 42 degrees becomes 1 times 6. X times cosine 42 degrees. What's 1 times 6? 6. What is cosine 42? Isn't that a number? So what are you going to do? You're going to divide both sides by what? Cosine of 42, the number. So I'm going to put that in red just so you guys can see that, okay? All right, we get cancellation. What do you guys have here? This means x will be what? 6 over cosine of what? 42 degrees. Now, what is that? 6 divided by what? Cosine, this is already in degrees, 42. Is that what I entered? Do you guys know what I'm saying? We okay with that? All right, now hit enter. And what do you guys get to the nearest, what did we say? The nearest tenths. 8.1. Outstanding. That's 8.1. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is 8.1. Easy peasy lemon what? Squeezy. You guys okay with that one? All right. So believe it or not, this is actually kind of a very big deal in a lot of ways. They can say, okay, here's 70 degrees, x, and this is 5. We got to find the value of x. And remember, you're going to have to stick to the three trig ratios, sine, cosine, tangent. But you might say, I don't know which one to use, right? Well, the angle 70, identify the sides that are in your picture. What's the name of the side called x? What do we call that? Adjacent. Okay, and what's the 5? Okay. What ratio has, remember, we're going to stick with the first 3. Yes, you could use secant, cosecant, cotangent, possibly, right? But RTI doesn't have that feature, so I'm just going to stick the sine, cosine, tangent. So this is going to be what again? That cosine 70 degrees equals what? What's the definition? The adjacent side over the what? Hypotenuse. Is that what it is? Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Okay. So create your proportion, right? And cross what? Multiply. What do you guys end up with? What does that give you? 5 cosine of what? 70 is 1 times x. Or we say 5 cosine 70 degrees will be, what is this? X. Now remember, cosine 70, this here is a number, is that right? So since it's a number, oh, I apologize. Let's talk about what you guys are seeing here. You guys want to see a little bit of logic? I'll give you some logic, I just have to. If your triangle equals square, then you know what I can say? And the square equals what? Triangle. You know where logic comes from? Maybe there's a good way for you guys to remember this. I think of who? Probably you guys don't know. I'll give you guys some logic. See, so you guys can remember here. Jennifer who? Jennifer Lopez is who? J-Lo. Okay? Do you guys happen to know the word is short for what? That's an equal sign. Jennifer Lopez is who? J-Lo. So if Jennifer Lopez is J-Lo, what can you say? J-Lo is who? Jennifer Lopez. Okay? What am I really getting at? Why am I bringing up J-Lo and Jennifer Lopez? Do you guys know? If I even get out some colors, orange, green, we can say green and what? Orange. What am I saying, ladies and gentlemen? 5 cosine 70 is the same as x. What can I say here, logically speaking? Yes, I can say what? X is 5 cosine of what? 70 degrees. So there's no equation to solve after cross multiplication. And you might say, okay, yeah. You might say, good. I'd say, yeah, that's nice. Sometimes that happens. If it happens, then good for you. You say, great. So we'll say now what? 5, you guys see there's a cosine now of what? 70 degrees, ladies and gentlemen. And that gives you, what does that give you to the nearest tenth? X is approximately 1.7. Okay. And yeah, you might say, Mr. Judge, how come I didn't solve anything? Because you got lucky. Just by cross multiplication, it was already solved. So there you go. What do you guys think? Is that okay? All righty. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Okay. Should we have you guys try a few? Sometimes I take all the fun, and I don't like to do that. Well, I do like to do that, but I shouldn't do that. Should I take all the fun, or should I have you guys try some? I think I'm going to have you guys try some. How's that? 60 degrees now. going to approximate to the tenths. Okay, let's try this out. Let's move all this out of the way, though. Let me see if I can. Right, let's move that, and let's see, our audio is on. So I'm going to move it lower. Okay, let's try to maybe, we'll keep it kind of close. Okay, so remember the process, right? So your angle's 60, and you have to identify what they gave you. Is that right? What's in the picture? What's the information you have to use in relation to 60? 45 is what? Opposite side. X is the what? Hypotenuse. Is that right? So what ratio do we use then? What's opposite over hypotenuse? Sine 60 degrees will be what? 45 over x. Is that right? Okay. Okay, compare and contrast just to start, right? 45 degrees, and what did they give here? This is the what? Adjacent over what? Hypotenuse. What ratio has adjacent and hypotenuse? So you're going to say cosine of what? 45 degrees will be the adjacent side, 25 over the what? Hypotenuse side. So compare and contrast, ladies and gentlemen, because again, you do have to use the appropriate ratio, right? You got to know those definitions now. This is the reason why you have them. So you have, again, two what? Two proportions. I'm sorry, there are two proportions, but equal ratios here. We're going to cross multiply. Equal ratios, cross multiply. And when you do, you get what? X times sine of 60 degrees is 1 times 45. And then you get x times sine of 60 degrees will be what? 45. Okay, again, this represents a nice what? Number. We don't know what it is yet, but we will at the very end. So again, you divide both sides by the what? Sine 60. Okay. Cancels, and now you have x going to be what? 45 over what? Sine 60 degrees. Now this is the exact answer. And what I'll do kind of simultaneously, just so you can compare and contrast, let's get the exact answer to the question number 2. So cross multiplying, notice gives us the same. Is that right? And let's write it so you can see it. So this would be 1 times 25. You guys see what I'm saying? And then you have x cosine 45 degrees. 1 times 25 is 25. And in this case, you divide both sides by the what? Cosine 45. Cosine 45. So you cancel. And now here you have x going to be 25 over cosine 45 degrees. Compare and what? Contrast, okay? Okay, so notice how they're similar, but different what? Now we'll keep it in blue, okay? So we're going to punch these in the TI, in the calculator here. See what we get. 45 sine 60. Okay, for the first one. So we say what? 45 divided by sine of 60. And then the other is going to be what? 25 divided by cosine of 45 degrees. So ladies and gentlemen, take a look. These are your two answers. Remember, we went over how to approximate, and we're doing the tenths. So tell me, what did you guys get? Yeah, for the first one. For the first one, I'm going to write down what you should have. What about the second one? You got what? 35 point what? 4. Okay. So the first one should be 52. And you could put 52.0. And the second one should be 35.4. So by a show of hands here, how many people got these answers correct? Good, good. Okay, outstanding. If you didn't, you want to check to see where you made a mistake. Is that right? All righty, good job. Now, let's do the next set. Okay, how about this? We got an angle of 30 here and an angle of 25. Let's label. For the 30 degrees, what did they give you? What's the x represent? What is it? Adjacent side. Okay, what about 10? What's that? Opposite side. Okay, so what ratio has the words adjacent and opposite of the first three? Tangent. Good job. So we say tangent of 30 degrees will be what? Opposite over what? Adjacent. All right, you guys okay with that? Okay, now let's do the other one since we're here. What about this? What's this going to be? Ah, they did the same thing. 12 is adjacent, and x is what? Opposite. All righty, so that is also what? Tangent, but it's tangent 25 degrees becomes, again, opposite, which is x, over adjacent, which is 12. So notice, sometimes that variable x is in the denominator, and sometimes it's in the numerator of your ratio. Is that right? It all depends on what they give you, and there it is. All right, now, remember, you have, again, what is this? Ratios. Okay, so we're going to cross what? Multiply. So by cross multiplying here, you end up with x tangent 30 degrees is 1 times 10. And then we have 12 tangent 25 degrees is 1 times x. So that your x tangent 30 degrees becomes 1 times 10 is 10. And then I'm going to do this. I'm going to say x is 12 tangent of what? 25 degrees. I'm going to do the J-Lo logic there. Remember, Jennifer Lopez is who? J-Lo, or we can say J-Lo is Jennifer Lopez. The word is short for is equal to, or is the same as. That's the symbol for is. All right, now, what do you think we do now? Do you guys know? With 1, we have to solve. Tangent 30 is a number. We don't know what it is, but it's a number. So we're going to divide both sides by what? Tangent 30. Tangent 30, okay? Cancels, and you end up now with what? X equals 10 over tangent of what? 30 degrees. Now we're free to use our calculator. Okay, for both. Anybody have any questions before we use that calculator? All right, now, okay, let's see. Let's get out the calculator. Say, where's your calculator? Here we go. 10 divided by tangent. You say, what tangent of what? 30. What is this approximately? X is 17 point what to the tenths? Isn't the 3 in the tenths position? The digit to the right's a 2. So your answer is going to be what? 17.3. So ladies and gentlemen, you get 17 point what? 3 for your answer. All right. The next one is 12 tangent 25. So we'll say now 12 tangent of 25. And that's multiplication, right? It's not division, so be careful. What is this numerically to the nearest tenths? 5.6. So x is approximately 5.6. And ladies and gentlemen, here's your answers. Okay, all right. Now, I'm going to share with you guys a little something here. And go to my website, and you say, well, we're in Math 241S. And I'm going to go to this thing called Trig Library. And there's my library. And I'm going to this thing called Right Triangles, by the way. And so I'm going to get out this worksheet here. Well, I'm not really going to get it out. Notice this. That's going to be what I put for your homework, by the way. So you go, really? We're going to have homework? Yeah. So let me do it here since I'm here, and I'm going to share with you guys a little something. Okay, I'm going to go to the right triangles here. And edit, copy. So you might notice, you might say, oh, okay, we're going to go to the website, the web page. So I want you guys to really understand that, because there are people who don't. And I'm going to do this here, put it down here. So just go up to here. This is going to be, oh, really? Right triangles. That's the name of, gotta spell triangle correctly. That's the name of the page. I'm going to put the link here. So when I put the link, you go, okay, when you're in Canvas, we go here. What's the title of that? I think it's called Right Triangle Applications, right? Huh? What's that? There's more homework? Yes. Yes. You go, more? Yes. And so, yes, you can watch some of this stuff, like I said, that you need. I might put beginning algebra 2 here as well. Some of you guys might say, I'd like to see some more algebra here, but I'm going to share with you guys on that worksheet, just so you guys know, there are some other ideas here in relation to right triangles that are very important. And I'm going to give you an example here, like maybe number 9 here. You know, well, what is number 9? I'm going to do this. I'm going to try to, yeah, you're going to say, are there words in math? Oh, no. I'm going to import the words. There's words and then there's pictures? Oh, no. Oh, Mr. Judge, what are you doing? I'm going to not create a new note. I want to import it. Hold on. Add to existing note. Guess it's there. There we go. If I can, all right. There we go. So you guys can see that here. Now, you might say, why in the world do we study even trigonometry anyway? Because, ladies and gentlemen, it's probably one of the most important math courses you guys can ever take that helps you explain the world around you. And so, yes, we can go through the mathematics, we could go through the algebra, but without trying to go through explaining the world around us and using it, you know, then it just becomes like a game, like, I don't know, like checkers maybe, I don't know. And so math isn't checkers. So if you read this here, you know, it says determine the angle of elevation to the sun. Oh, the angle of elevation to the sun is, I think I already found a typo. They found a typo. I'm going to have to correct this. It's 48 degrees. All right, found a typo. I'm going to correct it. I'll be doing that later in my office hours. I'll be working on answers for you guys for some of these worksheets. Like the one for yesterday, the 6 trig ratios, and the one for today. I'll be working on answers and putting them there too. So you guys will have some answers there, all right? Because there's nothing like going back and checking to see if you're right. Okay? So I got my homework too. I got to do this stuff like you guys. Okay, and what does it say? It casts a shadow. So here's a sun, and the angle of elevation, just so you guys know, is right here. So I want you guys to understand, I'll give you the definition, first of all, of angle of elevation. So say, what's the definition of angle of elevation? You guys want to know all about this stuff. Definition, angle of elevation, so you guys know. Here's the deal. Let me draw a picture. I'm going to say this is defined to be the angle between an object and the horizontal. Okay, the angle between, I'm going to call it the angle maybe theta, between an object and the horizontal when the object is where? Above the what? Horizontal. That's called the angle of elevation. So what I like to do here, I'm going to put an eyeball here, okay? And this star here, that's known as the what? Object. Okay, you guys okay with that? And then you might say, well, where in the world is a horizontal? A horizontal, so you guys know, is an imaginary horizontal line where your eyeball is. So this is a horizontal line. I'll put the abbreviation there, Al. For line, that's a horizontal. And so you might say, well, where's theta? Well, theta is this. There's going to be another line to the object, and the theta here is the angle between the what? The object. There it is. And the horizontal when the object is above the horizontal. There's something called an angle of depression. I won't give you that now, but this is strictly focusing on an angle of elevation. So in your picture, just to kind of describe all the details for your picture. In your picture, ladies and gentlemen, really the eyeball is down over here. I know it's odd. You say, you have an eye on the ground? Yeah. There's the eyeball. And then you say, what's the object? It's the sun over here. And isn't that funny? The sun's a star. I colored it yellow. You guys know what I mean? This is the object. And so you might say, where's the horizontal? The horizontal is the ground. You guys see what I'm saying? Let me use it maybe with what? A pencil. So this is where your what is. That's the horizontal. So it's following the definition of an angle of elevation, okay? But what do they say? This is actually phrased really wrong and bad. I got to apologize, you guys. I'm going to correct it when I go back to my office later in office hours. It's not the angle of okay, it's actually fine. The angle of elevation is 48 degrees and casts a shadow of 120 feet. Determine the height of a building. So if you guys don't know, remember here, the sun has all these rays, right? But then what's happening with the building? The building is blocking those sun rays. So this sun ray gets through at the very top. It's a sun ray. What do they want us to find? They want us to find the what? The height of the building. How do you know they want us to find the height? Because they say determine the what? Height. Height is the letter H, by the way. And what's the shadow? Do you guys see the shadow? The shadow is right over here. So the shadow has a length of what? 120 feet. And they're telling you, cast a shadow of 120. What I want you guys to definitely see here is that when we create buildings, they're supposed to be what? Perpendicular to the ground here. So this forms, ladies and gentlemen, what? Do you guys see it? This is supposed to be a what? It's a right triangle. Good. So what trig ratio do I have to use to find the height? Does anybody want to tell me? What did they give you here? Just like before, they gave us a what? The adjacent side, and then they gave us what? Opposite. So what trig ratio involves the opposite and adjacent side for that angle? Tangent. So what are you guys going to say? You're going to say what? Tangent of, what is that? 48 degrees is, what is that? Opposite over what? Adjacent. So this is how we handle these kind of questions, ladies and gentlemen. Is that easy peasy? So you might say, all of the stuff we did earlier today was warm up for these questions? Yeah. Yes. So tangent, I'm gonna try to solve this, right? Because they want to know what's the height. So now, what do? We create our what? Our proportion, and we cross multiply. So ladies and gentlemen, we get what? 120 tangent of what? 48. What's 1 times h? Is that h? Think of J-Lo. What is h? H will be what? 120 tangent of what? 48 degrees. And then, ladies and gentlemen, h is approximately 133 point what? 3. I guess that's in feet, right? Okay, you guys see that there? So the height of the building is 133.3 feet. What do you guys think? There you guys go. And that's why you pay the price of admission to the course. 133.3 feet. That's the relationship. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the real world. I hope you guys enjoy the real world, because the real world has a lot of things we got to explain. You guys know what I mean? All right, let's bring in something else, something good too. You say, Mr. Judge, is there more of this fun? Yeah. Well, we can't do this one yet. I might have to change number 11. We can't do this one yet. Let's try 13. I mean, I can show you how to do it, but I think I'll save it. Notability. Add to existing note. Okay. All right. Yes, take me to the note. Okay. All right. You might say, Mr. Judge, can I do this process with a tree instead of a building? And what do you guys think the answer is? Yeah, let's read it. Hopefully there's no typo. Let's see. The angle of elevation to the sun is 42 degrees. All right, that means the eyeball is on the ground, by the way, because that means my object is the sun. And yes, the horizontal here is the ground here, okay? So, okay, I have all of that stuff. All right, it is an angle of elevation. Okay, that's a sun ray. Do you guys see what I mean? The sun ray here. And guess what? Trees cast the shadow too, don't they? Right? Because if you guys notice the sun, remember these pictures we drew as kids? You guys know what I mean? So the tree is casting another shadow here. And what are they saying? The angle of elevation to the sun, 42 degrees against an 8-meter tall tree. So this is the height of the tree, 8 meters. Okay. Okay, there's 8 meters there. Determine the length of the shadow. So, they call that L, by the way. Is that right? Now, notice again, what should that measure here? This is supposed to be a what? A right triangle. And that's good news. Why is that good news, ladies and gentlemen? because we can apply everything we know about right triangles. So what did they give us again? What do we have to work with? We have a what? Again, adjacent over the what? Opposite side. What ratio? What's the ratio, ladies and gentlemen? Tangent. Okay. I don't know what I did. Tangent of 42 degrees. What does that equal? 8 over the letter L. They want to know, what's the length of the shadow to the tenths? Determine the shadow, the length. That's what they're trying to find, the gray. All right, you guys know the drill by now. What do you guys think? Create a what? A proportion, and then what do you do with that? Cross what? Multiply. What do you end up with? L times tangent 42 degrees is 1 times 8. Okay, and I know what 1 times 8 is. We're now going to divide both sides now by what? Tangent of what? 42 degrees. L equals what? 8 over what? Tangent of what? 42 degrees. Okay, TI. All right, aren't you guys glad you have a calculator? Okay, 8 divided by what? Tangent of 42 degrees now. So, ladies and gentlemen, what is this going to be? What's the length of that shadow approximately? To the tenths? And it's 8.9. What are the units? 8.9 what? Meters. So the shadow length, I guess that was gray. This is 8.9 meters. So you're going to go back here. You say 8.9 meters. Easy peasy. Lemon what? Squeezy. Ooh, what happened? What do you guys think? Not bad? Is that doable? Or is that impossible? Okay, now, looks like we ran out of time to work on our ratio, some of our proportions. So I think what I'll do tomorrow morning is, first thing we'll work on some S, which is proportions. All right, you guys okay with that? And I'm going to update this with some answers there for you. And we'll see you guys when? Tomorrow. I hope you guys enjoyed the lecture and the work.